Envision yourself going about your day. A song, a familiar melody floats past you, but you don't just hear it, you find yourself transported, not just to a place, but to a feeling, a memory. That's the power of music. It speaks to us. It allows us to reconnect with something we thought we'd lost. But it also has the power to connect us with each other and issues in our lives that matter. Having grown up in the music industry, I've seen my family use music as a platform to spread awareness and engage people in issues they care about for as long as I can remember. And I know it works, because I felt it myself through the music of some of my favorite artists. I've been inspired and empowered by artists like Coldplay, Billie Eilish, Paul McCartney, Neil Young. These are incredibly talented artists who use their platform for good, who use their music and their advocacy to support causes and fight for change within the system. These are the kinds of people I look up to. Just as I was surrounded by music growing up, I was also surrounded by conversations about the world, about the flaws in our society, and about the rapidly declining state of our planet. And in these conversations, my parents would always encourage me to question things, to ask when I didn't understand, and to always form my own views. And I think that's a really big part of what's shaped who I am today. Like so many other young people, I can already see these issues in our world for myself. The news about climate change is everywhere: the bushfires, the floods, the natural disasters, the extreme weather events, the rising sea levels. It's terrifying. Yet there are people in positions of power who still do nothing to stop it, nothing to help. And they wonder why we're afraid for our future. I used to lie awake some nights, consumed by this fear and anxiety. I was worried about my future, for myself, for my loved ones, but also for future generations. And I felt so alone. But now I know I'm not. Studies show that between 30% and up to 89% of young Australians feel that same anxiety about climate change. We're anxious because climate change means our future is uncertain. Our future is scary. Our future is being stolen from us by the inaction of adults today. And we all have a responsibility to act and demand that our governments do more. What we do now matters, and if we don't act now, we'll have no future. But too many adults don't help, or just won't. Maybe they think it doesn't affect them. I'll be dead by then, I've heard people say. This is as selfish as it is untrue. We are already in the age of climate consequences, and it affects everyone. And it is so selfish and wrong to keep treating climate change as a future problem, or to dismiss it as an issue for me and my generation to fix. Adults today are making a mess so big that we won't be able to fix it later. But in saying that, I do think there are lots of adults who, like me, want to help but haven't known how. Or maybe they worry, like I did, that nothing they could do would possibly make that big of a change, a difference. And I get that, because I felt that way too. I've always wanted to make a difference, and I've put this pressure on myself to do something, to be someone, to contribute to the world in a meaningful way. But I've also felt this immense self-doubt. What could I ever really do about it? And who would listen? For me, self-doubt doesn't come from nowhere. It grows in environments that make us feel small, incapable, and unheard. And it was the unspoken norms embedded in our society that told me that my voice and perspective didn't matter. And I think that's deeply tied to how we treat children. We tell them to grow up, stop dreaming so big. We dismiss innocence and imagination as being naive. What if we stopped treating our youthful innocence as being naive? What if instead we treated it as a kind of power? The power to see the world through fresh, uncynical eyes and to ask questions that challenge what others have come to accept as normal. What if it's not about misunderstanding how the world works, but refusing to believe that's the only way it can work? Could believing in and listening to children and each other lead us to new solutions and possibilities? I personally think it could. But we have to be willing to listen, to learn, and to actually follow through with what we say we're going to do. It was 2 years ago, while I was struggling with these questions and self-doubt, that I saw an opportunity. I saw an ad on Instagram, and it was looking for young people who cared about the environment to take part in a documentary film. The idea was to take 8 kids from around the world to meet with scientists, business leaders, and climate change activists. And it was incredible, and I was excited, but I felt that self-doubt creep in again. Who would actually listen to me? Who would really care? And would I even get it? So when I did audition, I didn't tell anyone in fear that I would fail. But a few months later, I was on my way to Europe to begin filming Future Council. The 7 other kids alongside me in the film are extraordinary in every way. Take Skye from Wales, a force to be reckoned with, who had actively been fighting for climate action and still is. Or Joseph from Bali, who started a plastic recycling business to fund the education of other kids. Or Hiva from Norfolk Island, a bird enthusiast and one of the most kind and caring people I know. Each and every one of us was so incredibly different from all different backgrounds, but we were brought together by hope, ambition, and that same drive to create change. We were brought together by our youthful innocence and our imagination and curiosity. Filming brought challenges at times. We were speaking with CEOs and business leaders from banks and multinational corporations, asking them about what they were doing about climate change. Some were making incredible strides towards a better world. Others had endless excuses and reasons why they couldn't do more. They told us it was all too complicated for us kids to understand. And they would avoid our questions, proving time and time again that they would prefer to keep us in the dark than take accountability for their actions. And it was really disappointing. But thankfully, a lot of the people we spoke to did actually listen to us, and we weren't going to let the ones who didn't listen take away our hope. And the more we came together as a group, the more we inspired and encouraged each other and our ideas, and eventually we all found our place, our contribution. I even found mine. One profound moment in the trip that I think really helped me find who I am, who I wanted to be, what I wanted to do, was our time with Clover Hogan in Switzerland. Clover Hogan is an Australian climate activist and the founder of Force of Nature. And while there, she spoke to us about eco-anxiety and the effect it has on young people. And I think it's safe to say that this experience was life-changing, not just for me, but for everyone involved. It validated what we had been feeling for so long. And it also helped us realize that we were not at all alone. To help us deal with that anxiety, Clover encouraged us to take a moment to express our emotions in a drawing, a poem, or in lyrics. It was in that time that I wrote what would become the chorus of a song. What can we do if you make promises but never see them through? How can you tell me to keep on breathing, tell me to keep believing while my home is being torn apart? How can you tell me to just ignore it, say I'm better for it? Because when it hits the home, it hits the heart. These words came to me faster than anything I've written before. And I left there that day feeling more inspired and hopeful than when I'd arrived. And those lyrics became the chorus of a song, my debut single, Hits the Heart, which was released in December of last year and is one of the tracks included in my EP, which was actually released today. Thank you so much. Through music, I had found a voice. I had found my way to express my opinions, emotions, my feelings, but not just my own, also those of the people alongside me in Future Council, and for everyone in general. I was able to have a voice through music, through song, through art that I could then share with the world. I came back from the Future Council trip transformed. I had gained a new perspective, realizing that life was so much bigger than just my school, just my community, or even my own anxieties. And I had this newfound feeling of belonging and strength. It helped me realize that everyone, kids and adults alike, experience these moments of loneliness, anxiety, and self-doubt, and it's completely normal. Climate change is a big, overwhelming issue, but I now know that I can make a difference. We all can. We just have to find our own unique way to do it, and we have to be willing to listen and learn from each other. And it got me thinking, what if this youthful innocence isn't something we have to outgrow? What if it's something we can rediscover? I truly believe that anyone can find the inspiration to take action by connecting themselves back to when they were younger. It's that same feeling of curiosity, innocence, imagination, and hope that we feel as kids, that we feel when we're young. I would now like to bring my dad on stage to play guitar while I sing to you Hits the Heart, and I hope it encourages all of you. And I hope it encourages all of you, kids and adults alike, to reconnect yourself back to that same sense of innocence I was talking about, whether for your child or the child within you. Thank you. This is Hits the Heart.
Her name is Sky and she's drowning in her dreams. She wishes life was easy, like floating on a breeze. But I fear for her that when she finally feels free, 22 years later she'll be drowning in the sea. But what can we do if you make promises but never see them through? How can you tell me to keep on breathing? Tell me to keep believing while my home is being torn apart? How can you tell me to just ignore it? Say I'm better for it. When you hit the home, it hits the heart. Eva doesn't know that the birds won't always sing, and Honey doesn't realize she can't save everything. Picking up the pieces, oh, I see them try. Slowly they'll stop singing, and one by one they'll die. But what can we do if you make promises but never see them through? How can you tell me to keep on breathing? Tell me to keep believing while my home is being torn apart? How can you tell me to just ignore it? Say I'm better for it. When you hit the home, it hits the heart. Walk along the sand and unpleasant thoughts form, seeing how we treat the place that we were born. Cece tries to fix it, she has since she was 3. And every time I lose my faith, she inspires me. But what can we do if you make promises but never see them through? How can you tell me to keep on breathing? Tell me to keep believing while my home is being torn apart? How can you tell me to just ignore it? Say I'm better for it. When you hit the home, it hits the heart. How can you tell me to keep on breathing? Tell me to keep believing while my home is being torn apart? How can you tell me to just ignore it? Say I'm better for it. And when you hit the home, it hits the heart. Hit the home, it hits the heart. Hit the home.